a very demanding job. The management consulting for a job that was even more demanding. Teaching. I went to teach 7th graders math. The New York City public schools. And the teacher made quizzes and tests and gave homework assignments. When the work came back, I calculated grades. What struck me was that IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst students. Some of my strongest performers did not have the stratospheric I scored some of my small skills weren't doing so well, and that got me thinking. The kind of thing you need to learn in group 7 with math, sure, they're hard. Ratios, decimals, they are parallelograms, but these concepts are not impossible. I was firmly convinced that one of my students could learn the material and work hard long enough. After 7 more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is much better understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychological perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ. But what if doing well in school and in life depends on much more than your ability to learn quickly and easily? So I left the classroom. I went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. I never studied. My question was, who was successful here and why? My research team I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We studied rookie teachers working in a really tough neighborhood, asking which teachers are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school year, and of those who will be the most effective at improving the learning outcomes for their students. We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs, who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged, a significant predictor of success. It was social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it was IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the weeks, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit at Chicago Public School. I had thousands of high school juniors who take grit questionnaire and wait around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids are significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristics, things like family income, standardized achievements test score, perhaps when they were at school. So not just at West Point or National Spelling Bee that grit matters, it's also in school, especially for kids at risk for dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little science knows about building it. Every day, parent teachers ask me, how do I build grit kids? Solid work ethic, how do I keep them motivated for the long run? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on their commitments. In fact, in our data, grit is usually unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck. It is believed that the ability to learn is not fixed, but it can change with your effort. Another way has shown that when kids read and learn about the brain, how it changes and grows in response to challenge, they're much more likely to persevere and they fail because they don't believe that failure is a prominent condition. So the growth mindset is a great idea for being good, but we need more. And that's where I'm gonna end my remarks because that's where we are. That's a word that stands before it. We need to take our best idea, our strongest, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we're successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again. Lesson learned. In other words, we need to be greedy about getting our kids greedier. Thank you.